I'm appointed by our government in 2013 as CEO of Staatsbosbeheer. And Staatsbosbeheer, in proper English, you could call it the National Forest Service. It's an externally, how do you call it, not privatized, but it's on a distance of the government. So it's an own public. It is a governmental public body, but on arm's length of the ministry. So we are connected with the government. Of course, we are civil servants working for the government, but Staatsbosbeheer has its own juridic, legal, and financial entities. In the first year, 2013 and 14, I made studies and analysis of the financial situation of the market, of political and the governmental environment of Staatsbosbeheer, and we concluded that it wasn't possible to privatize Staatsbosbeheer completely, but it was also not good to go back entirely into the department of the Ministry of Agriculture or Economic Affairs at that time. So we redefined the status quo, so to say, because there was still a huge financial problem. We had severe cutbacks of 20% in the operating cost and 70% in the larger investment programs for extending the natural areas in the Netherlands. That were quite massive numbers, and I had to figure out what will I do. So to cut in the headcount, so I have a massive massive layoffs of the personnel, or find other ways to find the savings, because it was very clear that we had less to spend. I had to change and to redefine the scope of Staatsbosbeheer. It was a very I'm not saying old-fashioned, but for many years it was very well focused only on the conservation, the preservation of nature. But if you look at the core tasks and the purpose of the organization, it was wider. So what we did is we redefined the scope. We redefined our mission statement. So the purpose of the company was not only to protect, but it was also to enjoy the natural heritage of the Netherlands by 17.5 million inhabitants. And what we added is possibilities for wise use. So it's not only protection, not only enjoy, but also we deliver timber. So Staatsbosbeheer is the largest inland provider of wood and timber in the Netherlands. We have a lot of areas where farmers can rent the land, grasslands or arable land from Staatsbosbeheer, but do it then in a way that you can call it sustainable. So it's also that way that we can steer or guide the society, or at least the entrepreneurs, in becoming more sustainable or more in a circular or bio-based economy. So that were complete new dimensions in the organization, which also brings its own culture from entrepreneurs at the one side, of the communities at the other side, and of course the good old green nature conservationist. The plan, when I entered, there was already a plan with the unions, so there was already an agreement with the union signed that 200 people should leave the company, but they were all people very low in ranks, Laura. So there were the people and the other with the lowest salaries, people who were working outside in the fields, in the woods of us. So it were really people working outside. But they are also the people visitors will see at first sight when they encounter an area of Staatsbosbeheer, of the National Forest Service. You don't see a manager, you see first the ranger. And then he said, why are we doing this? Then there was apparently the idea, the conception, or later the misconception, that these people could better be at work with a contracting company. We should be more a project management organization rather than have executive people working in projects ourselves. If I lose those people, I lose a lot of tacit knowledge because they are in the field. Maybe they have not everything in quality systems and not everything written in knowledge systems, but there are people who are working for 20, 30, even 40 years at Staatsbosbeheer, and they know the place, they know the vegetation, they know the forests. And those contracting companies, they don't. They have large machines and they do what they have to do. They make money. Yeah, and then it's more easy to make other changes if you have a good message to start. So you're not laying off 200 people. Then you have another start as manager in an organization. And then everybody accepted that I would cut in the external costs, improve the process, and improve by getting a tender board in, etc., and save and created more efficiency. I professionalized a lot of knowledge about tendering and so on, and contract management, etc. And that way, you get some goodwill in the organization as a CEO. Because you stand for your people and even realize the savings and better performance by more efficiency in processes. So that's the way, and I think it's very important to be an employer rather than to manager by cutting the headcount. And what is very important as a CEO for myself is you have to believe in it. So, and of course you have to believe not only as a manager, but also respect the DNA of the old organization. So, and I'm not a nature conservationist in that way, but I understand them very well. I've studied in an agricultural, but also in nature and landscape architecture. I understand very well why they are so passionate about nature, why they are so to say, sometimes in love with nature. And if you respect that and can listen and pay genuine attention, then you can take them on the road, on the journey for a new future. And what I did is then paint that new future, not for the next year, but for 5 years ahead. So I made a longer horizon, where we want to be 5 years from now. And then I designed a kind of platform in steps, every year, one step ahead. So it was focus. I brought focus on this year we will do this. Next year we will do that. I think that's important. That you're starting a journey and take the people with you on that journey. And it's the way how you communicate, how you use your authority at one side, but at the other hand, your authenticity. So you must be genuinely have an understanding, a deeper understanding of what people move, and especially in these type of organizations, because their passion for nature and for ecology is so deep, which is not necessarily one-to-one equal to the rationale you need for proper economics or financials or finances for an organization. So that's looking for the balance, and also appoint the right people at the right place, because that will help you. What I also did, and I saw one of the questions is, okay, what role did you as a CEO? Of course, you are at first you are you bring the salvation in the first 2 years after a massive crisis, and okay, we are still there, and you create new money and new income streams. That's good. But then I think I'm then more the facilitator, and I try to inspire my direct reports and other people's and give them the authority to make the next steps. So and what we did at Staatsbosbeheer is that we appointed 40 forest rangers, so the people in their uniform, nice men and women, they are the street agents for Staatsbosbeheer. So it's not me on the foreground or one of my colleague directors, colleague executives. No, what we did, and every week, few times in the week, on the television or in the radio or in newspapers, you see the rangers of Staatsbosbeheer telling nice things about nature, and that increased the self-esteem and the how do you say it? Pride? Yeah, is it pride? Yeah, the pride of the organization. So because the colleagues who work on the working floor, they see one of their colleagues in the same clothes on the television explaining very well to the greater public how good nature is, of how the farmers can work together with nature or whatever. And that, I think that's one of the, not secret, but one of the elements which has created a lot of success in also in getting the awareness from top to the work floor and the other way around in our organization. It's an emotional and a rational process. Emotional in the sense of, are you still connected during the change management you're driving with your people? And it's managing by driving around or working around. It is a very decentralized organization. We have 70 locations through the country, and I'm making a lot of miles to speak. Everybody of us, even also the customers, but mostly also our personnel. That helps. You have the feeling. Yeah, on the other hand, Laura, every month I look at the cash. So is there still cash? Are we making progress? At the end of the year, are we making profit? And that's and meanwhile, what we did is we introduced quality management systems. We did something on the corporate social responsibility, and we did something on the global reporting initiative. So you have some universal standards which pushes the process side of the organizations in the right direction. Then you have your key performance indicators. We introduced a little bit of workout method of General Electric. So you have some little groups which are a cross-section of your total organization working on a certain subject to improve the company. So we used several hard and soft skills to get in the right direction. And what helped then is what I say about the emotional side. Yeah, if the employee reviews are positive, like customer reviews say, okay, the score is 8, it's okay. No, it's a sign of that you're in the right direction. But it's a combination. You have to look at the human side, at the employee side, but also at the money side, at cash, at the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, the P&L, and the third one is more the strategic one. Is how is the innovation? How are we perceived by our stakeholders? And that's we organized with all AAA, with Shell, AXO, with the large international companies. We are based in the Netherlands. We organized debates on certain subjects around sustainability. So, and when your employees read in the paper or see on the television that we are connected to Shell or to the United Nations or to some other AAA brands, it also gives the corporate culture and the feeling about Staatsbosbeheer for the employees pushes in the right direction.